Hello, and welcome to Metachemistry. This is episode 123, and we have a special guest on with us today. We are having our maybe annual interview with Bostria.
It's fun. Hello everyone, Bostria here at MetaChemistry at Denver, Colorado, just after the crack. Hi.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate having you on.
Yep, thank you so much.
But before we dive in, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Mo Games. Mythic's Online Emporium is an online supplier of Infinity, which you can find at mo-games.com. And as part of their sponsorship, all of our patrons get a 10% discount code to their store if you're a paid level patron. And in addition, we raffle off a $40 coupon code each month. To enter, you just need to select that role in our Discord and have a valid US shipping address that Mo can send that to. Because what's better than games? Mo Games. And so today we're kind of talking about, of course, we want to go over the Krug and how that went and kind of give you our impressions and where we think things might start going from here and kind of get a general state of the game and see where Infinity's at currently and what we might see in the not too distant future. And so, first off, big change from our last conversation to this year as far as the scope of the Krug by far.
Yeah. Well, that's because the previous year the Krug was organized by Mark Ribus and Eric Jung and the people from Colorado, but after that we discussed and finally Corvus Belli decided to fully support the Krug and trying to make it like the American Interplanetary Tournament. So economically, logistically, price support, promotion, making big noise, and the guys who organized the Krug took the challenge of making it grow because last year was 50 players and this year has been 120 players in a hotel, in a venue, with live streaming coverage by Stephen Box, with many things, big in scale, and it went smoothly. We're discussing here what were the most negative points of it, and there were minor issues. So everybody went super battery charged back home, and it went smoothly. And questions about rules during the tournament were minimal, were like really silly stuff. I mean, so very positive experience, and very looking forward making it even bigger next year. So yeah, super thumbs up.
Yeah, it was great. We had a really great time. And it was, Ian and I both did some judge work, as well as you might have seen us on the stream doing some commentating.
That was a lot of fun.
It was a good time. It was definitely a do it live sort of moment, literally and figuratively. So
yeah, we were learning camera work and switchboard operating, while kind of doing what we do, but in a live setting. It was really cool, and I hope that more of this is going to come.
Yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed that. If you haven't and don't know what we're talking about, you can find these over on Corvus Belli's YouTube.
Yes, please check Corvus Belli YouTube channel and look at the live streams from the Krug. If you're impressed by the look of it, you will be even more impressed by the amount of equipment that something like that requires. Like 5 people assembling cameras and lights and plugs and cables and software and the final result, because of the Warsala terrain that looks incredible, was spectacular, but the amount of work that it takes is way more than I was expecting. A ton of money is also required to put together that stuff like that. I mean, but at the end, it was not only the streaming, it's the perception and the awareness of the community that they are being on the cameras and that something is happening. And those who are not there are really reacting to, oh my God, someone is having so much fun over there. So yeah, communicates, transmits the perception of a great event is happening.
Yeah, I think it was 7 cameras that we were switching between, plus at least 4 microphones. It was a lot of equipment and work that went into that.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot going on. I had nothing to do with any of the equipment, so my job was much easier, but I kept wanting to get up and get around the table and then narrate players' plays, probably 2 feet away from them. Maybe a little too close.
I stuck back more at the monitor, so we could talk about who's their lieutenant while without them hearing it.
So the equipment was far above the capabilities of the people involved. Okay, we have to become more professional as the ton of equipment that was put there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward to getting some more practice in with that, hopefully. And as far as the other portions of the event, there were just a ton of great-looking tables. There was a prize painting prize competition, and we had a ton of great painted miniatures. Some prize support of painted miniatures. Everything was beautiful.
Everybody got a copy of Valkyrie. Everybody got a Crazy Koala, a key chain for the base with the shape of the submachine gun from Parvati. Dice, lots of stickers, Velcro patches, all kinds of goodies that make people be happy with just to be there. But the community, above everything, the community,
Absolutely.
because many things. Back in the day, there was Rumble in New Mexico and Texas, and it was a great event and was creating a great community. And Corvus Belli didn't support that event enough. And apart from that, the pandemic destroyed not only Rumble, destroyed many other events that were destroyed communities. Speaking with people here was like, my community was 40 guys, and now it's just 7 because the pandemic destroyed everything. So we are getting, with time, more aware of the consequences of the pandemic on such a social hobby, which is playing Infinity, and the intensity that it requires, because putting together an event is a huge effort, economically, logistically, physical, everything. And kind of the stuff. I mean, Rumble back in the day was a great moment for the community, and we are so much into making that happen again. And one of the most positive things that I got from this crash is that a lot of people who were at Rumble came over to this event. So it was like making the community together again. Lots of hugs, lots of kisses, lots of people like, hey, haven't seen you in 7 years.
Yeah.
People like that.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite part of the event, was getting to see so many people that, again, I either very rarely get to see or just haven't seen in a very long time, and tons of new faces. And those of you that came up to say hi, who already listened to the show, thank you so much. It was really great to meet people and know that somebody's out there listening. So that's always nice. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, it was so cool seeing a lot of these people. The thing I love about the big regional tournaments like this, and even though this is now growing even beyond that, is just being able to see a lot of the people that I only get to interact with once or twice a year, and doing it in an awesome setting, and seeing all the new stuff and kind of catching up on stuff. And it's just the community aspect of Infinity has always been a draw to me, where it hasn't been in any other game really.
Yeah, and then you ask everybody which city or state are they based in, and you see people from Nebraska, from Texas, from California, from Utah, from like I'm very interested also in knowing the reach of the crack. Like put together a map marking how many people from each state came over. I'm interested in knowing which states have not been touched by the crack. Okay,
Sure.
because something that this event is meant for is everybody charges their batteries and their enthusiasm about Infinity, and they get back home, and at home they make new players, they make the community around them, so next crack even more people will come.
Well, we got some reach all across the United States, but we also ended up with players coming in from Ireland and Sweden.
Yeah.
So that was really, really neat to see. Very, very cool interacting with some of those guys, just to say like, wow, we're getting stuff in, it's getting big.
Yeah, and the Krug was originally set to be 100 players, and then capped just so quickly, and then opened it up to 120 players and capped again.
Yeah,
And
could have been more, but they cannot jump the organizers from 50 to 100 watts, 100 watt, 200. I mean, it could grow too fast, too soon. So The good reading here is that it went super smooth with 120 players. In fact, they were saying this went better than smaller tournaments. Maybe it's a lucky shot. We will see next year probably with more players, but maybe do not get crazy with numbers and growth. Make sure that the experience is satisfying for everyone.
Of course. Yeah, and if this year is anything to go by, I think that there's a really strong foundation for the Krug moving forward. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, I agree.
And so now, one thing I tried to get some questions from our Discord, and in addition to some other stuff that I'm sure we'll talk about. But I think the general sentiment or questions that people are asking are kind of, what is the state of the game Infinity look like for Corvus Belli right now? How happy is Corvus Belli with how things are playing, and what can we expect here in the near future?
Well, the state of the game, state of the nation. Well, there are many angles to look at that because, okay, fine, we have released M5. Everybody's happy with M5. The game is in a much more solid state than ever. It was satisfying for the veterans who just were complaining about the missing sectorials, and we have just announced that that is going to be fixed because the sectorials are all almost all coming back. So forget about the disappointment or everything like that. Regarding solid rules, is more solid than ever. We get that. Okay, we are getting that. So satisfying and well executed regarding rules wise and stuff like that. Okay, we can tick that box. Solid. Infinity M5 is the best version of Infinity until now. Okay, fine. For those of you who are already playing, for those of you who are already inside Infinity, for newcomers, it's not that easy because it's a complex game. I mean, and we have made very successful products. Right now, the most successful product is the Start Here box. So it sells like crazy.
It's a great entry point and at a price point that makes it easy for someone to try.
Yeah, but we Corvus Belli still make mistakes. First of all, Infinity is never going to be mainstream because it's too complex. At least the hardcore Infinity M5 that we have. Okay, we can make extremely friendly, beginner-friendly starter boxes, but it's still a game that from the starting experience to the crack tournament, there's a huge leap there. No? Apart from that, economically, how does Infinity M5 goes? Okay, we sell a lot of Star here and a lot of Sandtrap, okay, and we're happy with that. But Warcraft seems to be doing better, okay. And why is that? Because Warcraft has just a few SKUs, a few products, okay, just 5 armies, just like 10 SKUs per army, while Infinity has like 42 armies, and every army has like, 25 SKUs. So the money dilutes over there. No? Sure. When you look at the metric specifically, how much does this SKU sells every month, Warcraft wins. Okay, because Infinity. Okay, here is the Jotun. Okay, I do play Svaralheima, then I will buy the Jotun.
Right.
But I do play Kester. No, I do play military orders. I do play, and I'm not even skipping from Pano. Imagine like that.
Exactly.
So everybody wants everything. Everybody wants all the armies to be available at the store. Everybody wants their army to be updated, new, powerful, beautiful, and with the most recent, unique, cool plastic figures ever.
Yeah.
But it's like we have too many stuff in our menu. Okay, so it's difficult to deal with. So therefore, yes, M5 is super solid about rules, but as a product, for revenue, for profit, stuff like that, is not that optimized, okay? I've been saying this many times. If you ask retailers, they want Infinity to become like a game of 300 point box, $100. Every army being one of those. So
make it easy.
Yeah, so knowledge building for you. So you read the mission and doesn't matter. It has to be the same army. No? So retailers are in one spot, players are totally, veteran players are in one spot, beginner players are in much more different spot. Right. So in that regard, Warcraft is much better thought of because Warcraft benefits from all the experience, from everything that Infinity has been through.
Sure. Yeah, and it's a very different game, and there's a very different level of entry. I feel like you can get, say, the Song of the Dormant box and be in a very good position with even just the quick start rules to have a good foundation for the majority of the game. But there's a lot more corner cases or kind of small interactions with Infinity that make it what it is, but aren't necessarily immediately apparent to players picking up a starter box.
Well, Infinity is so rich in details and loadouts and stuff that you can have a very representative experience of how the game goes with Operation Soundtrack, for example, despite it not being so beginner friendly as it should have been, you know. But you can, with the 7 against 7 figures, you can already have a very representative experience of what Infinity is. While Son of the Dormant provides an experience, but it's not representative of the full scale of Warcraft as it is, because when you play in full scale Warcraft is when the stress tokens, for example, and managing the resources becomes like in its own game, and suddenly many rules that are there is when they become meaningful.
Sure, and actually that kind of leads into one thing that I found kind of interesting talking with some other players when the Warcraft demos were happening, is what resulted in the decision for these starter boxes to have a lot of characters and only one unit. That's a pattern we've seen with Winds of the North and Song of the Dormant. Is that what? I guess how did CB come to that decision and decide that this was the way they wanted to present those starter boxes?
Well, you mean Warcraft?
Yes.
Warcraft is
Warcraft, yeah.
Warcraft is super narrative. Warcraft comes from role playing and very narrative approach, so it's more hero based than Infinity.
Sure.
And Infinity particularly is a game that has heroes, but they are not that meaningful, especially when you compare with other super epic games where the hero is totally above everything else. Infinity has personalities, but units. And Infinity is so rich with all the loadouts that the competitive scene is the one that will say who is important.
Sure.
We can make, okay, this is this character, is the most cool character. The flap says that this character is awesome. The community will find, no, this loadout of this guy is more valuable and cost effective than anything, any super poster boy character that you can come up with.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
So obviously, like with Infinity specifically, with the strive for balance and with all of the factions and all that. I know that there's been FAQs and stuff, but what are we looking at potentially for the next FAQ? Because I know that at the Krug there was put together a lot of questions that were had, and that we were able to bounce some of those off of you at Corvus Belli to get some answers on some of that. But what are we looking at for potentially when we get the next FAQ drop to clarify that for the wider community?
I don't know. You're talking about. You're talking with a designer here. Okay? That depends on the developers, and the developers right
Absolutely.
now. One is at Nova, one is in holidays, and the other one probably is waiting for many things to get green light, waiting for testing reports to arrive in order to analyze stuff. Right now, the developers, what they're doing actively is translate Neoterra, Acontecimiento, Varuna into M5.
So the focus right now is on the missing sectorials being reintroduced.
Yeah, totally.
N5.
Yeah, next wave is closed already. Next wave is done in trials, and now they just walk around. Hello is the other day, and he was on the chat. Okay, the Aquila Guard. Do we put this here? Are we okay with this? Okay, testers, what do we say about this? They are putting a loadout on the Aquila Guard with, I don't know, Thunderbolt, whatever.
Sure.
It's a good example, okay? 5 weapon in an old guy that comes back, okay? So they are considering that. Are we giving mirror ball to this guy? It's like that. So right now, without being overly creative, but just adapting things, they are going slot by slot, profile by profile.
Just to make sure everything fits in the context of the game as it is.
Yeah, and some stuff requires testing, some stuff requires direction. Like, Gutierrez, fluff-wise, this makes sense to you, or balance wise, are we going with this army? More albedo here, less albedo over there, more visors here, stuff like that.
Sure. And as far as that goes, when Corvus Belli is designing, and whichever level makes the most sense, whether it's a unit, sectorial, or entire faction, would you say Infinity is more of a top-down designed game where the fluff and the visual design and those kind of inform the mechanical decisions, or are things generally bottom up where things are developed mechanically and then everything kind of fills in around that?
No. The main mastermind here is Gutierrez Gutiérrez. Yes, has duties regarding unit profiles and stuff like that, but it's above everything, he's the writer. The meetings between Carlos Torres, the artistic director, and Gutierrez Lusquiños are the genesis of everything, and they like to work like that. They come with a primitive idea of this sectorial is going to be about this, okay, and it's going to be written like this, and from that comes all the rest. Sometimes artistic design can look like the unit has to have armor 3 when it was intended to have armor 1.
Sure.
But that's just during the process, and they consider it, and that's it. But everything comes from a literary idea, from a narrative.
Sure.
And then the narrative is translated into profiles, and then the profiles have to be translated into designs, and then the designs have to be translated into color designs and color direction also. And then the profiles get more definition because they begin with very crude design profiles, and then testing and decisions and many other stuff begins to refine those early profiles. That's why many times I make dossiers or I publish on media the profiles of upcoming units, and then the final version in the army is not quite the same because in the last weeks is when they twitch a little bit the things and stuff like that.
Right.
Many people in the process, when they see things announced, is when they react like, no, I sent an email changing this, but that was not reflected in the Excel that is the file for everyone else. What I've seen during all these years, for example, with Campaign Paradiso, Campaign Paradiso book 2012, it was like done. It was like done. And in the last weeks, it was like, how about if a character gets permakill? And then came the mode of you can play with permakill, which means that if Joan dies, and you cannot use it in the next mission. And that was a great idea that justified also the cube.
Right.
So, but those ideas, the most inspired, or the ones that fit better, need all the previous work in order to be placed there. So when you have the body of rules already clear, is when permadeath because of the cube, and the characters, that's cool, boom. So happens a lot.
Makes sense. And luckily with digital rules, I feel like that makes the company much more agile in terms of that design anyway, where you can make changes kind of either last minute or even later on down the road if something ends up being outside of the intention.
Well, Corpus Belli, Infinity is the darling of game support and balance and updates, and it's like a video game, but it's not a video game, it's a miniatures game.
Right.
And those patches, those updates, where especially very competitive players find their voice being heard or their points being addressed, doesn't happen in all the games. But that requires like a full-time people there on their jobs and on their awareness of the community and the meta of the game.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's a lot of positive traits that should be highlighted and people isn't aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a whole process, I'm sure, to sift through what is someone just being discontent and what is actually better for the game. And those don't always align.
No.
Yeah.
We are frustration dealers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there is a thing as this is something that I encounter a lot is because everybody has opinions, and everybody has opinions on
respectable opinions.
Hopefully,
yeah.
But it's the thing of when you have opinions on the game that you play, and you have opinions on the faction that you play, and the models that you play with. It's totally fine, but also where's the objectivity come from to realize that not everything in like my faction needs to be the best. You know, that there's a game balance back and forth because it's a thing with gamers that we all think that we could do it better. What my experience is that generally we can't, and that there's like things can be tweaked here and there, and the company needs feedback, but ultimately the game balance does have to take precedence over personal
Well,
ones.
Infinity has a long history of communities who think they can do better and they question the company. At the end, maybe because I come from an artistic field, the only opinion that I think is legit is you like it or you're not. Like,
Sure.
Imperial Service, here's the new box. Boom!
It's beautiful.
This profile, this should be 13, this should be mimetism. You like it or you not? I like it because it's orange and the dragon is cool. That's legit.
Right, there you go.
Yes.
From that point, we can discuss and argument and talk about but the reaction to buy the box or not buy the box is, do you like it or not?
Mm-hmm.
That's the most legit, the most sincere one, without having to justify why.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that reminds me on when you were mentioning the Campaign Paradiso book, and then in N4 we saw Daedalus Falls. Is there any plan for a similar campaign-oriented book for N5? Is that something that's on your radar, or has that not been as interesting?
A new book is being made. I know that because I'm involved in the covers and speed paintings, the narrativity of it is a new book that has to come with Next Wave. It's a new book that has to fluff-wise ubicate the factions, especially with the Shinju theater of operations,
Right.
and the Red Fever subplot that is going on, and the antagonism between factions, like probably Aleph is going to have bad blood with Next Wave,
Right,
because
absolutely.
Achilles is super dead, stuff like that. So we're making our work right now, and it's addressing those points, like, for example, the Achilles had these HQs around the human sphere where he is like, he has his HQs for the Next Wave, and they are like almost like embassies of Next Wave. So they have this kind of media coverage of Achilles and his army are taking care of humanity, and they also vigilantes of on the combined army. So we love Achilles. Achilles is good and stuff like that.
Sure.
Which has this Chinese undertone, okay, Gutierrez makes sure that he can write everything with two different readings.
Yeah.
So Aleph is bad or is good. So Combined Army is bad or is good. He always liked that duality and stuff going on.
Yeah. I think that nuance is important. It sometimes makes questions hard to answer, I suppose.
Yes.
But I think that it's good for the game, because then every player of a given faction can kind of follow their interpretation.
And the way Infinity Splitting, you are always getting unreliable sources.
Right.
Because sometimes you're getting full propaganda, sometimes you're getting speeches of inner conversations of intelligence officers. Nothing is the complete truth, right? It's like you're getting little pieces of a bigger picture, and you can decide if the nomads are right or the nomads are just anti-system guys.
Right.
Like that.
Awesome.
Just because they can.
Then following on with the campaign and kind of spec ops mode that came with that, are there any plans to revise reinforcements for N5?
I heard more about Spec Ops and campaign than reinforcements.
Okay.
I have my own ideas for reinforcements, but they have to be approved.
I think everybody has their own ideas for reinforcements.
Those boxes are great. They're looking miniatures, but they do not found their spot in the Infinity, because it's very difficult to create a new spot, a new role. The vehicles have found their spot. The vehicles, because they fly, they have found their little spot in the very sophisticated meta of N5. Because those tables were rooftops and with people hiding on the third level of a rooftop, Now they are not that safe as they used to be because suddenly a fake one can fly over them and annihilate them. And they were so comfortable, prone on a rooftop back in the day. So that's a little spot that can be addressed. And the vehicles are super cheap for everything that they do. So super cost effective.
So, actually, one of the questions that we had gotten was, is there any intention on modifying vehicles due to their interaction with electromagnetic attacks? That there's no way to repair them or things like that. I saw someone who had mentioned, oh, well, maybe an aerial would be disabled if the target is mobilized, for example, and then could be fixed or things like that.
I heard nothing about such their change or direction.
You just have to roll a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, just pass your reset, it'll be fine.
I had a great idea. The clock really makes sense to me, but we can keep adding details and details and details to the rules, but then they will be counterintuitive. There are labels that you have to memorize. I was saying that the targeted state, it will be cool if the camo units who have been targeted, they cannot get back into camo, into marker state.
Sure.
Which makes a lot of sense. Very good idea.
Agreed.
Because it does effectively negate the targeted for the most part, because you have to rediscover it.
Well, at least you get the bonus to discover.
Yes.
But yes, like being able to, how do you simultaneously have something that's targeted, but you also now no longer know what it is? And so there's a little dissonance. But
It makes sense. I think it's a good idea. But another layer, a label, another line written on the rule that someone has to remember. Nobody will,
Right. Going back to our kind of top-down design, Next Wave has been shown with a lot of visual language of Shizvasti in particular. I think almost everything in Next Wave looked like all the weapons are Shizvasti.
The look is Kodali. It's totally Kodali look.
That makes sense.
Applied to humans because the first napkin note on Next Wave was going to be subsectorized army.
Sure.
But now it's not. It's what they are free will humans voluntarily join Achilles and they distrust our human leaders who have disappointed us so many times.
But that unreliable narrator, are they really of free will?
Yeah. Well, artistically, many artistic decisions are going there with the subsector look because we like it.
Sure.
And
The Kodali is great.
if you look at the skin of the cliff jumper, he has like veins, like he's been poisoned or something. So we're going with that because we like it. Some of the harbingers look like very how do you say the gender fluid or something like that. So
Sure.
going for having a kind of gothic look or something like that. So they look evil in a certain way. Yeah.
Gotcha. And is there, so at least for like, let's say the weapons that are all the designs appear to be Shizvasti instead of a mix of other weapon designs. Was that a very intentional choice or just because that was what looked the best with those sculpts, or how did that come about?
Well, not willing to design a fourth line of weaponry for the combined army.
Right.
That's also they make sense because the Shazvasti are the most human looking, and the Shazvasti adapt and impersonate humans and try to be humans and stuff like that. So made sense for us. Also, the sleek, kind of sharp look of the Shazvasti weaponry in opposition to the massive blocky design of the Morat weaponry.
Right.
Because we cannot have a sexy lady like Pandora or any kind of sexy lady that we can come up with holding a Morat Pantherfaust, which is like a big...
Sure.
Yeah. All the Morat weapons look like you could be used to bludgeon somebody with.
Yeah. Or you can build something and use it as building blocks.
Right.
So going along with that, I think the design language on Next Wave is really cool. I like that the idea of more humans joining the combined army. Are there potentially some aliens within Next Wave to kind of as like supervisors.
Well,
Keep an eye on.
there are creatures. There are these the Dragon Steel Jaws and the Juggernaut, which are creatures inside Next Wave. You have to consider also that Next Wave is a consequence of N-Song, okay, because here the showrunners, Gutiérrez and Carlos, decided they have to scale down the size of the conflict in the Infinite Universe because it was totally heading towards a big scale war, and so and they're also switching the narrative of the Combined Army not being the bad evil guy faction overall and becoming a one faction, okay, but like the rest, because the alien invasion plot reached a point where what is this, Independence Day or we scale it down? So
Because it was like with Concilium, it was like the third major system that they had offensives going into.
yeah. So it was like going to have a nuclear explosion and an aftermath of that, no? And that was Enson. The quantum anomaly zones, that's what the plot twist, were created by mishandling of the Chechi digesters by the Spiral Corps, and that makes suddenly the Combined Army to react to that in a surprisingly positive way towards humanity, and a truce is signed, and now the Combined Army has a seat on the O12 Senate in a certain way. In a couple of years, they will be in Eurovision. It's
So that's really awesome. And then with that, is there any plans to rework Onyx in light of Next Wave, or also things from Next Wave potentially going into vanilla outside of Achilles and the rest of them?
no, because I think the Combined Army list was already designed. I have quite the opposite question. Is now Achilles not going to be in vanilla CA and just going to be on Next Wave? And the answer was no. He stays in both because we want to sell more miniatures of Achilles as possible.
Because he's really going to have to get a new Combined Army themed model, right?
Oh yeah, it's I've seen it in 3D. They made different combinations of arms and they were deciding which one or which ones. They probably has like two combinations.
Well, I mean, I'll just have to buy two of them so I can get both poses.
Yeah, and you can use. I don't know if. Sorry about my question, but Recluse still have all the projector and can impersonate Achilles or not. I don't know if next wave that's possible.
Yeah, I believe he still has holoprojector. That sounds right off the top of my head.
So you can have two Achilles. So
Yep. And then will we be getting Combined Army versions of the other ones that joined the Combined Army?
I don't understand the question. Sorry.
So we're getting a new Achilles model, but are we going to get a themed model for
The rest of Team
yeah,
Achilles.
of course, obviously.
all of Team Achilles?
You have to consider that at some point the Achilles team was going to be like a box, like the size of a starter pack or something like that.
Yeah.
And that eventually grew up into becoming a sectorial action pack.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. Pandora will come in the action pack. Achilles will be a separate blister.
Okay. That makes
Good
sense.
Pandora is the actual seed, the actual root for everything else. I mean, she was the one that persuaded Achilles to move away from Aleph and join the Combined Army.
Just super glad that we got Patroclus back, even if Aleph had to lose him.
I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. Maybe a little bitter. But yeah, Next Wave, and we can expect that to start showing up here in October.
Yeah, next way is like the Essen product, Essen Spiel, which happens in October. So because Corvus Belli has these 3 big days during the year, Adepticon, Gen Con, and Essen, yes.
And is that something that is likely to be the case going forward? Like typically it's been Adepticon and Gen Con, but
So Essen has always been.
Essen has?
See, probably in the USA you didn't notice that much, but it's one of those dates for us. It's important.
Oh, I see.
As well as Black Friday,
Right.
for every company is a moment
I
of
think
happiness.
just that we haven't usually gotten a big release for Essen in the past.
Yeah, and if you notice, we made every year a miniature for events that is being present at all the events, and finally on Black Friday is when it becomes available for everyone.
Right.
This year, I guess, is Berkana from
Yes.
well,
I made Devin pick me up a copy from Gen Con.
beautiful figure.
It's great. So, Carlos, is there anything in, as far as what you know, in the 2026 pipeline that has you particularly excited? Anything that you're really looking forward to?
Something that cannot be mentioned yet.
Of course.
I hope Moonhaven gets released fast.
Yeah,
please.
Because it's meant to be the Decepticon release, but what we see for a faction to be fully delivered for Warcraft an action pack is not enough.
Right.
We released the CNN this year with an extra figure and stuff like that, but it was not enough. They almost did. The CNN almost didn't reach the Interplanetarium with full tournament power. A guy was complaining that they both are released in the final match were Hegemony, because it was just 2.5 factions reaching that tournament.
Right.
Hegemony, Northern Tribes, and CNN, but the flexibility of lists that you could assemble with CNN was very poor. It was like, okay, I can make like 2 lists with what was available. Sure. Switching the commander here and there. So you need the 10, 12 SKUs of the whole faction to really have the flexibility. And then is when we can talk about, okay, now the game is phase 1 fully delivered. Now the 6 factions can face each other and smash each other in the equal amount of conditions. The only faction right now is the War Rig and the Rock Troll for Hegemony and Northern Tribes have just arrived. It's like the last release of the faction. I don't know if there's a hero later or something like that, but it's pretty much it.
Sure.
And so I would like Moonhaven to be delivered quickly, as quick as we can, so they can have the full roster of units, the dwarves all together, and people can enjoy Warcraft full scale, 6 armies.
Yes.
And then
with options.
Yeah, options. And then care about profiles, but not that much profiles. The meta of the tournament, the rules for tournaments and the missions. Because right now I think the game is like conquering objectives, and that benefits Hegemony.
Sure.
Because they have bigger conquest values.
Right.
But
and the durability to hold them.
Yeah, Infinity wasn't built from one day to another. Infinity took much more in order to reach something similar to what Warcraft is already. So, I mean, the meta of the tournaments comes from the document of the missions and the objectives that they have to be achieved. So we will know. I know that the dwarves will have more resilience.
Sure.
Okay, they can endure more wounds, more damage. That's one of the characteristics. So we will see what happens.
Makes sense.
They will have magic. The less magical faction is Hegemony. The most magical one is Yaldabaoth, Scions of Yaldabaoth. Yeah. And the rest are in between,
Yeah, I'm super excited. Mount Heaven is that's what the one I want to play. I've got everything else. I've been playing, but the dwarves, that's what I want to play, and it all comes down to the cool gold orichalcum armor and that illustration of the dwarf crystal golem tag thing that looks so cool.
The Iron Golem, I guess. Yes. Well, the one I was expecting the most, it was Feudum. The Blue Knights. It was always the Knight faction. In fact, for Corvus Belli, Feudum is like Ariadna, because it's the one that is going to be more medieval sword fighting, kind of like in Infinity, the most realistic one with weapons and tactics is Ariadna in a certain way.
Sure.
It's the less sci-fi-ish,
And then they have the Griffin.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, correct. That's the big one for them. Yeah, correct. Something that was very well done by Corvus Belli is to have figures for all the factions already painted and photographed for the book.
Yes.
So people could have seen Moonhaven more than a year in advance. 6 dwarfs are already there.
Mhm.
So that's and the griffin was already there.
Yes.
So that was very good
It
maneuver.
was a nice surprise getting that book and flipping through and going, "Whoa, what is this?" And there's already a painted model. This it's great.
The Warcraft book is the best book made by Corvus Belli because Warcraft benefits from all the mistakes we made with Infinity.
Sure.
And we learn from that. So yeah, it's huge book, full of images and all the art is there. It was huge effort.
Yeah, it's definitely worth picking up. Obviously that's where you're going to find the lore, but there's a ton of great artwork. You get to see all of these miniatures, and it's kind of funny sometimes when people are checking in and asking about aspects of the game or things that are, when is the next thing going to show up? And well, you can point in the book there. You can already see some of these.
Alliance is mentioned in the book.
Yes.
And it's not a proper faction from Phase 1. I'm saying Phase 1 because of Marvel. It's mentioned there.
Yeah.
In fact, Berkana belongs to the Merchant Alliance, as well as Ismail, the figure that comes in the tournament pack, also belongs to the...
They seemed in concept to kind of be the Warcrow version of
Hack Islam.
or I was going to say NA2, where mercenaries, where other factions get to use them, right?
Well, we're calling them mercenaries right now, but Berkana and Ismail are Merchant Alliance.
Merchant could be its own thing.
Yeah. And even the little box for Berkana comes with the symbol of Merchant Alliance already.
Right, yeah.
So mercenaries is just a label allowing them to be used right now. Probably not on tournaments, just allowing them in narrative games, stuff like that, because the profile for Ismail is too powerful.
Well, and I did notice the same with
also,
the inventors characters that have gotten profiles so far are not legal for tournament play.
Yeah.
Is there any plans to adjust their rules for tournament plays? I know a lot of people would love to use them in some fashion.
First, we have to have the full version of the game.
Yes.
And we're going towards that. But also the feedback from tournaments and players is very important. Don't worry about being vocal and approach Corvus Belli with your complaints, your demands, or your perception, your readings of the game. Certain people have that talent of being able to read the game and not just the detail. Not that this guy should be like this. No, the whole game.
Right.
Like I would reading, that requires a certain kind of brain.
Do you think it needs
totally
everything for a faction, a completed faction, out to really kind of see where things fall in line and interact with each other, and where everything it comes together at that point, and that's where hegemony and Northern Tribes really seem super awesome now, because they have basically everything.
Yeah, people is putting the aggressors with the war surgeon. People is putting they're like the strategos with the arquebusiers, because they think that among all the options, the best combo is this one.
Yes. Yeah, and then something that may not look super good early in the release cycle becomes super good later, because now it interacts with the rest of the range.
Correct. I mean, so many things. Remember when in Infinity when we released the Mechazoid?
Yes.
I mean, this stack is shit. Because
my favorite.
You're just thinking about all GSA with the next to the Ojoroi, but Mechazoid was for Sinden Butai, an army that you don't know yet. That was like last year. And you know what happened? Tikbalang and Mechazoid didn't have good sales when they were first released for Gen Con, but then Reason Santa arrived because they fit those armies, because they were intentionally put there like that. Suddenly the stores and distributors send more of those. I need more of those. Yes, we know that.
Right.
We knew the script, so we're cheating.
Sure. Yeah, and that context isn't always immediately apparent. But on the note of the Mechazoid, are we going to see more multi-Spitfires? Because it's the only one in the game. I'd love to see some in a...
You don't get it, only I get it.
But, yeah, I think that do we have any sort of, and I know we can't be specific, but will the next book, can you give us a quarter? Like which quarter of the year the next book might come in? Or is it too far out?
I don't know if we will make it in 2026.
I see.
because depends. Corvus Belli at some point can, turn the wheel to the right and suddenly the game, anything can happen. Because right now developers are working on bringing the sectorials.
Right.
That means that they are not working on the next block of rules that hypothetical book might bring. Maybe the book is not about rules; it's just narrative and fluff and artwork.
Right. It all has to kind of line up, a book, maybe a model release, potential rules. There's a lot of moving parts going.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So we will see. We will see how the year turns because we know that Mount Haven is happening for Adepticon, but for Gen Con, what is happening, I cannot reveal, and it will be totally not cautious for me to reveal it because probably can get delayed later.
Right.
And I have the superpower of saying things that then, because I say it, end up not happening. Year of the Doha and stuff like that,
Right. Yeah. It's a very...
Well, actually, on the topic of Toha, and with the re-release of the missing sectorials...
But the Spiral Corps is not coming back.
No, not Spiral Corps. My question actually is there any plans to do...
No.
Nothing Toha.
It's not Toha!
Oh, well, you said Toha.
No.
Okay.
Is there any plans to do some more of the limited model releases like you did with the Toha on those 2 boxes a while back, but for the other factions that have out of print models?
Happy Days for
previous
models.
Yeah, that was the one.
Happy Days works might happen
again.
Okay. Something like there was it's on the streaming where Tony, the Hacky Slime player who won against Vanilla Combined Army, showing to everyone that Assassin can win and anyone can win Vanilla Combined Army. Thank you for addressing that point.
Yep.
Tony was playing with very old Hacky Slime figures and he was so proud of them. So
they were painted very well.
Doesn't that make you think that Corvus Belli can make a Happy Day making something old, probably out of scale, without what it means, but suddenly be old because people will celebrate it because it's classic Infinity, Chef Kiss stuff.
I bought a couple of the Happy Days Toha boxes, even though there was models in there that I already had. There was other models I didn't, so I purchased a couple of those boxes, and I know that a lot of people, the apps, the newest Hawk Islam remotes are amazing. I know there are some people that really like the aesthetic of the old chicken box. And so if those were in a Happy Days box, I think that would sell.
I can understand interest towards Toha because, the first round of the streaming of the crowd that went horribly regarding technical issues, but there was a Toha player there.
Yes.
And the night before I was checking the Toha profiles and oh my god, it's just so good.
Yeah.
Eclipse grenades. Guys who can throw Eclipse grenades, who can make fire things with regular guys and advance. Apart from Ferroware stuff that nobody's expecting at all, apart from the profile total. Obviously, a Toha player nowadays is a super veteran experienced player that show up at a tournament with Toha because he knows that 90% of the people won't be able to counter many shenanigans from them. And Eclipse grenades are a warm blanket towards mission accomplishment. I mean, it's like I throw this over here, nobody can see through this. I get inside, touch the console, fail, doesn't matter, touch it again.
Yeah, like there's a lot of really powerful units and combinations of units in Toha.
Yeah.
And do you, and maybe this is just personal opinion or if you have other information, how do you feel like Toha have arrived at this point where they're not in production, there's no plans to move forward with them? Was it they don't fit in the narrative anymore and this was intentional, or was this model sales, or was this too many unique rules just to Toha, or how do you think we got from Viso to here?
What I'm going to say is my personal opinion on this, okay? Morats are the orcs in Infinity, and Toha are the elves in Infinity.
Sure.
At some point, Toha were bring in which book? A book that was also bringing Steel Phalanx.
Paradiso,
probably, yeah. So Toha come over, and they bring a very interesting flavor Gutiérrez put a lot of effort in them with the Symbion armor, with the Featherweight rules.
Yep.
At some point, Corvus Belli were bringing a lot of stuff to the Toja. I'm going to tell the whole Toja story. Corvus Belli got super excited about the Toja, especially when we decided to go fully elf, dark elf with them. Okay.
Sure.
And Carlos Torres went for designing, okay, they're going to be like this. And he created super detailed, super excruciatingly painful detailed designs. And back in the day, those miniatures were made by hand. And the sculptors were sweating their shirts off, sculpting all those details. The knee pad of the Gao Tarsos or the Gao Rael was like the most complicated thing you can think of. Apart from the fact that every Toja had like 4 stripes on the leg. Those stripes were modeled by hand.
Right.
Apart from the fact that so many details and so full of detail that they were very difficult miniatures to sculpt. That was before 3D.
Sure.
So all the advances that 3D that will make you to sculpt just a leg with all the stripes and then copy and paste, it was gone.
Exactly.
You know, so their Toja arrive and people have their opinions on them, but they will have a lot of privileges. And they arrive and after the starter pack of the Toja, then the Macaul arrived. And the Macaul were the most beautiful Toja miniatures by far, because they were the most elvish also. So the idea, the people perceive them as elves, and that was the whole story. These are the elves, and they're untrustworthy in the Infinity Club. So they were there. So many people is like, okay, cool, Toja, fine. And that was the launch of the Toja, no? And everybody got crazy with the Steel Phalanx because of rules, and in the Motarcos, and everybody having what was ODD, Mimetism -6,
right,
back in the day. Then we advance in the timeline, and a new wave of Toja designs come, and they conceptually concept designs. So they were the Kael'thar, the Symbio Beast, the Symbio Bombs, the Foxhole guy,
Nikau.
What else? They were beautiful. They were beautiful designs, and we were also getting with 3D already at that point. Yes, so there was a bunch of stuff, very promising stuff for Toja in the pipeline, because we designed all that things at once. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I was so excited about them that I got a podcast or somewhere or whatever, and I said, "Wow, the next bunch of releases, especially the Mutant and Surda Symbio Beasts."
Yeah.
Oh my god, we super excited about them. So I get in a podcast or the forum, because back then it was the forum. The stuff of the Toja that is coming is going to blow your mind. This year is going to be the year of the Toja. That's when I say the year of the Toja.
Yeah.
Because the concept design of all the stuff was incredible. But at the end, the Kael'thar was released. Then 3 months with nothing for Toja. Then the Symbio Beasts or something like that. Okay, then like 3 other months or 5 months, 6 months without nothing. Then the Nikoul or something like that. Then, so there was so spaced during the year, or 2 years, I guess,
I think so. Yeah.
that everybody was crying, well, what about my Tojas? They're getting nothing. And that kills a faction.
Sure.
You have to release, because back in the day we didn't do things like we do now. Remember about Bakunin recently? Action pack, and every month getting something.
Right.
Action pack, every month getting something. Military order. Now we do things much more consistently. But Toja were the mistakes that we learn from. Okay, we spread like butter over too much bread. The Tojas, and people lost interest in the faction because Pano and Yuqing were getting stuff every month almost,
Sure.
So Toja suffered. We cannot say no, Toja were low in popularity. No, we have our responsibility in that. We didn't deliver for them because we have too many factions. Because O12 suddenly appears, and what is this? The third sectorial of Aleph is O12, almost like that. So
Sure.
so yeah, we Infinity comes so much from the narrativity of it that at some point we are like losing the point, and some mistakes. We are a company that tries to be serious and professional, but we have to learn from everything. And Warcraft benefits from all the mistakes that were made with Infinity totally.
Yeah, the second child, you know.
What happened with Infinity, what is the magic point, is that it found its public, its audience, the people who really like Infinity, which is kind of anime. Not everybody is the cup of tea.
Right.
But we have a very solid fan base that is there. The clock, 120 players.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we hope that Warcraft finds its own mass gravitational pool or mass of players that are loyal to Warcraft and play it and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that a big part of that is having all of the factions available, or at least the first set of factions.
Yeah, because some people is like, this should have been launched with all the factions and all the units at once, and it's like, who can do that?
Big.
Who can do that? The market would swallow that, digest that, like, no. As step by step, as we did with Infinity. Because
Right.
Infinity was launched with
It's 4 factions.
was launched with Pano starter pack, Yuching starter pack, and Ariana starter pack.
Oh,
And then
that's
after
great.
a few months, Hack Islam starter pack, and then after a few months, Nomads starter pack, and then after a few months, Combined Army starter pack.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the first 6 factions. And there were blisters and stuff for everybody, okay, until we reached like the Human Sphere book. So there was a second edition before Human Sphere.
Right.
And then is when we began to release more Japanese figures, greenish, unreddish panel figures, because the sectorials were coming, but the book was not yet released. So yeah, many things, but slowly building up to something, that was going on. Yeah.
Plus, I'm sure there's just a tremendous amount of risk if it weren't to take for any reason, and you have all these resources in trying to put everything out in one massive release.
Yeah, imagine that if that month GW brain farts something, and all the social media and all the, because sometimes you are releasing, like the trailer, they announce the release, the press note for something, and something else happens and gets all the attention. Can happen any day.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that's been kind of a question since the N5 book has launched is that it sounds like it's pretty safe to say that Toha are not going to be involved with this. But what do you have any tidbits about the Aleph and Hakazlam being excluded for that? Anything that people can look forward to? Because they're not in the lore book for N5, Hakazlam or Aleph.
Oh, LF definitely has a role to fill during 2026.
You heard it here first. Yeah, and I imagine this is probably some sort of response to Next Wave, like we were talking about.
Well, the narrativity is touching Aleph totally, and we're making covers with Aleph figures and stuff like that.
Yeah, and how does Aleph manage the human sphere with the combined army being present inside the sphere and keep cross-contamination away? And...
Planet Shinju is the main theater of operations. Aleph has to arrive at Planet Shinju and deal with Next Wave, with Nomads, with this, they hate Aleph and stuff like that, and deal with the subplots that will happen. Maybe we can make one of those online campaigns on Planet Shinju. That's an idea that we have, but we will see if we manage to, because the Corvus Sphere app could be a platform for online campaigns, but
that would be interesting.
Yeah, we have to make it work. Because the Warcraft team, we sat down together. They shared with me their ideas for how Warcraft campaigns could be.
Sure.
And they had incredibly great ideas, but before we can fly, we must learn to walk. I was there just to provide them of what happens with online Infinity campaigns, what problems show up, and what people like and people don't like. Okay, because people really like when an online campaign is being played. They like an update of the status of the campaign, an update of the map, an update of who made a heroic victory and where on the map, no? Stuff like that. And we can make that even better, not just a piece of text. We can make videos about that. People will love that, and highlighting a commander suddenly. This guy won this battle here, and that allowed him to take the position. But then you have to also address which are the most popular factions and which are the less popular factions, and how to balance their battles,
Right.
because if it just is massive reporting because of mass of players, then there is no competition, and you have to balance that.
Sure.
And what in Infinity can be like a news report with a TV host, Vince McMahon giving you the latest update on the machine you run.
Yep.
Well, in Warcraft, probably will be like a town crier with a bell. Come on, today I'm giving you the information. This happened.
Yeah.
Good, and the town crier giving you the report of the campaign. No?
There you go.
That's cool.
Yeah. Speaking of the online campaigns for Infinity in particular, are you familiar at all with the fan projects? Last year there was Operation Hungry Walrus,
No,
and this year was the Mothball Incident.
no.
So they made
One sounds familiar, but yeah, tell me more.
Yeah, so that one I believe that just ended as of recording about a week ago, something
say.
close to that. But there is a community who's been making this, and they have the first campaign last year, Operation Hungry Walrus. They reached out to people for custom missions and had people submit, and then they had a narrative that they were writing. They had various theaters of war on several planets, and then on those planets there were different areas to interact with. And then in this year's campaign, the Mothball Incident, they limited it to one mission that they had made, and they had this effectively like a tic-tac-toe board of the missions that they had played, and the goal was for a faction to hit each of those missions and control those theaters.
Yeah.
And I believe Hakislam won this year, if I recall.
The Hakislam players organize themselves
Yeah.
to online campaigns wonderfully.
Yeah.
They have a very well structured chain of command or something, and they always play very well the online campaigns. Yes.
Yeah, and they had asked, one of the questions that we'd received was, is there any intention, or which I suppose you may not know in this case, to include some of the narrative from these events into Infinity in some larger or more official capacity?
We incorporate the narrativity from online campaigns have to be our own online campaigns.
Makes sense.
Because someone has to read all that stuff and then make a highlights for Gutierrez to read the highlight. No, when I was deeply involved in online campaigns made with the War Console on Piece of War, takes a lot to digest, to be aware of what's going on, and sometimes fans come to you, hey, well, the initiative of the dolphin, what that came below my radar, because there's so much stuff going on. Apart from the map and the icons on the map changing, because someone with the usual power struggle between factions that get engaged in a certain spot, people comes with narrative stuff, people make beautiful battle reports.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the scoring in those campaigns comes just from playing. We are considering also scoring points by painting, by hobby stuff. So that's a very good idea that came from the Warcraft guys. Like, the two different kind of points that score in a big overall of the faction. So people just participate by playing, by painting, by writing fan fiction, by creating media pieces.
Yeah. Well, I did notice on the schedule for Interplanetario this year that there was like competitions for hobbying. Like there was an entire category of just like doing hobby and stuff that wasn't related to actually playing any games. And
yes,
I didn't notice that being a thing in prior years. Was that new for this?
No. Interplanetarium has lots of parallel activities. Okay, the Infinity tournament maybe is the main thing, but they put coloring. They put concept artwork of Infinity so you can color. They have many painting competitions. They have like a Ninja Warrior competition where you go through many different
obstacle course.
No. You shoot an Earth gun, color a concept design, paint a miniature, participate like in every kind of little game that are, and also solve a.
It was like a separate ticketed event outside of like Warcrow and Infinity that was its own like tournament almost.
Yeah, and then also during this year for Son of the Dorman, the marketing team of Warcrow put together an online riddle that
Yeah.
was interactive with the cosplayer at Gen Con and the cosplayers at Interplanetario. Had a letter with a little video that has many hidden hints inside. Also a song. It was like a super challenging competition of solving, kind of like the J.A. Abrams promotion of Cloverfield. Like
Sure.
let's see if someone reaches these websites or they call to these phone numbers or solving a very complex puzzle in a way to promote, in a way to do something different also. Like okay, here's the video, buy the stuff. Well, they were making something else. We have a lovely cosplayer as the Breath at Gen Con.
Yeah. That was really cool.
Cosplay, very well done, and she has like a keyword to so people can with a password to her. Super cool stuff, really.
It's really fun.
Yeah, super fun, but does not reach everyone because it's so secret. It's like a hidden game inside the game and stuff like that.
Right.
But well, it's also a way of changing the formulas and try to think outside the box, especially when there's so many things going on.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm kind of curious as far as the and I've seen the blue butterfly and some of the clues. I haven't been following along very closely, but how did that come about? Like, who sparked that discussion and kind of started getting the ball rolling on that?
Max, the new marketing director.
Sounds like he's doing a lot of really cool stuff.
He chews more than he can swallow.
Yeah.
Seeing his, sometimes I feel very useful if I can get something out of his desk and I take care of it, like the crack things or stuff like that.
Sure.
Because he is very enthusiastic, very energetic, but at the end of the day, you see him and he's like exhausted because he has so many emails to, and he gives the card, of course, really to everyone, and then his inbox is like 100 million messages.
I believe it.
So it's like, it's difficult.
Yeah, he's a wrecking ball. We had met at Gen Con, and it was like, oh, it's you. Hey, you need to talk to this person over here about this. You need to go over here. Let's see what we can do. Let's go over and do this. There's a lot of running around, and that was maybe 10 minutes. I had asked him. It was kind of funny because we had been talking for a little bit, and I asked him, "Hey, can I schedule an appointment on your calendar at some point? And can we, sit down for a meeting and be flexible about time?" He's like, No. I'm really busy.
Years.
Yeah, like I'm really busy. Are you going to be at Gen Con? Well, I wasn't planning on being at Gen Con. So that's how we got to meet. Flew out to Indianapolis so that we could sit down and chat for a little bit. But yeah, he's. It sounds like he's making a lot of great ideas happen. And really pushing in maybe too many directions.
The thing is that many great ideas, like online campaigns that the people from Work suggested, are incredible. But then execution is everything. I mean, a great idea with a bad execution can still work if the idea is great, but sometimes a poor idea with an excellent execution can always can work.
Sure.
I'm talking about like the most recent box of Gallowsian 45 rifles from Ariadne.
Oh, sure.
Because they were even more quality than the previous one, and they have lookalikes of Liam Neeson and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But making another Gallowsian box was not the greatest idea, since the previous one was more than okay, but the execution of that idea was superb.
Sure.
So that's when something is saved by the execution. But other stuff is the idea itself, Cold One was a great idea. Cold One was a great idea. Didn't catch up because if you think about it, Cold One was released at the beginning of the pandemic.
I'm sure that didn't help.
So it didn't help. So now people, I don't know if they have a perception of it, but because some people say, no, it's better to play Infinity directly instead of Cold One and stuff like that. But it was the pandemic. It was demolishing for our communities.
Yeah.
And then in other countries that were getting with Infinity for the first time, they played Cold One.
Yeah, and I think that was the big difference that we saw was that established communities like, hey, you're 75% of the way there. Let's just play N4.
Yeah.
But new communities, I think, was much easier. In fact, I've seen recently.
Mexico, Japan, China, certain countries that if you arrive and they were super new to it, they began with the baby steps. That's
Right.
For one, yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen occasionally some people asking online about, hey, is there a code 1 for N5? Because I played that and that was so much easier.
Well, that's Essentials and the Start Here box, which right now
Right.
is the best-selling product. But yeah,
Yeah.
and I have there's an Essential season 2 of videos. They are made already and they haven't been published yet.
Nice.
I hope they're published these days. I during May. The videos that explain rules are much more difficult to make because they have to be so precise.
Yeah.
But they're made, so they are going to be published during these days probably.
Nice. Yeah, and I think that onboarding is just such an important part. Like, that's how the game continues. Really, is to be able to get more players, and anything that can make, because Infinity in many ways is kind of a punishing game almost. Like, it can be really hard, but I feel like, as we've played it for so long, that I feel like that makes it really rewarding. But I think for some players, I've definitely seen some people that they, like you said, it's not everyone's cup of tea, and they kind of bounce off because it's very in depth and there's a lot of moving parts. But yeah, anything to make that onboarding process be a little bit easier is good.
I think that is not only about the rules. I think making things like the crack, supporting events, supporting people that charges their batteries and then they become workers or they begin to teach new players why this game is so great.
Right.
That makes new players and that makes the community grow. And we have to reactivate the community because the pandemic was terrible for us and losing Rumble was terrible for us. Also, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
Shout out to Dan Barnaby and John Barnaby. We love you. What you did back in the day was amazing, and we are still trying to cover that spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can say that I really appreciate all that Corvus Belli's done for the Krug, and it's been really great to see this event grow in such a way, and really feels like, because I know last year we had kind of talked about how it feels like Infinity is right on the cusp of another big takeoff, and this really shows that Corvus Belli's committed to that, and that you see the interest on everyone's faces here and how excited everyone is.
Well, we had great results on the live stream with the viewership. That was another thing. It was really cool to see and be able to participate in.
Yeah, and you're seeing the archives with all the novels that are getting consolidated.
Yeah, and Max efforts to put order and the same format for all the novels and the same and make covers for all the novels.
Yeah.
He was reading Aragath, I guess is the title, the one of the Fusilier that gets with Caledonian guys. And during the flight to Gencon, and he looked at me while reading the novel, and he said, "This is the best novel with the worst cover."
Yeah, and speaking of, because a big part of that, as I'm sure, is the more ways that people can access the world, the better. Because there are people that may never read it, they'll read it, or they'll play video games.
Graphic novels are awesome.
Yeah.
And the TV show, or animated show, maybe at some point will happen. And then there's a video game happening. I mean, it's being made as we speak right now.
Right.
Apart from the Aristeia video game that is almost released right now.
Yeah, I've been playing some of that beta.
Relaunch on the tabletop with Hexadome Legends.
Yeah.
Hexadome Legends. Yeah, my love for Hexadome, for Aristeia, is for me is my game. I mean, it's the best game from Corvus Belli. The easy to catch, first time you understand the game already, hard to master. Okay.
Yeah.
Because at some point becomes chess. It's incredible. And I'm super looking forward for the actual release of Hexadon, and I'm going to support it like crazy. I mean, I have plans that because it will be released at Gen Con, and if I'm at Gen Con, and because it's the arrival of the game, so people won't have their boxes already, I make sure I put 4 boxes and 8 people can have like a mini tournament or something.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's a great game. Now with the Hexadome Legends rules, it's much more solid. Back in the day was already solid, but now the benefits from all the tournaments that happened, because never got big in the USA, but in Spain got super big, had its own player base, people not related with Infinity, playing Hexadome and a podcast about Hexadome, Aristeia, where they were telling people this comes from another game, which is Infinity, telling that people that. What happened with Aristeia in Spain is that there was tabletop market and people were playing tabletop games, but Aristeia benefit from the tournament approach of Infinity. So when people saw that this game has like a tournament pack with prizes and a tournament ranking and a tournament scene going on, similar to Infinity, but they were not used that the tabletop games that we were playing were so well organized regarding competitive thing. So some people saw the infrastructure behind Aristeia and said, okay, I'm playing this, and then they got crazy with it. They began to, because the game is great, and the mechanics of the underdog allows the other player to make a comeback always, and the cards and everything. So yeah, I at Gen Con I got two Australian influencers, and they wanted a demo game, and I made them play a whole game.
Yeah.
And you could see the brain juice coming out of their ears by the last turn, because they learned the game, they got into it, and the turn 4, turn 5 were like putting everything.
Yeah.
And the one who won was shaking of pure dopamine at the end, like because the other one almost wins.
Yeah.
He was ahead all the time. In the last turn, he realized that he could tie and win because of frags, and move everything and do everything, and finally one card of the other guy won, and we were clapping. People were just, they began playing just them, but people began to gather around them. And the Australian guy was like shaking at the end, like, oh my god. And the other guy was like, oh my god, my brain cells, I lost several brain cells in this game, because it became chess.
Sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, it's a great game, and I really want to support it. I really want the American scene happen, So next Krug, we will have Warcraft, we will have Hexadome, and we will have a super big amount of Infinity players.
And it sounds like Acheron's Fall is looking to ship sometime soon, from the updates I keep getting from that crowdfunding, which I'm excited for Spaceship Combat and the Infinity Universe. The demos that we got last year or two were really awesome. So yeah, it just sounds like the IP is really kind of taken off. You got a lot of things happening in a lot of different areas. You can hit people that, I said, Infinity might not be the game, Warcraft might not be the game, but you have something for them between novels and different board games and video games.
Yeah, Racers is the...
Racers is a ton of fun.
Yeah. Paradise Lost at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, just all these avenues to kind of let people experience the world even if they don't play the game, and maybe that brings them into the game, because I know that other large franchises have done that and have been really successful that we won't name just in case. But any designs on audiobooks for the Warchives?
No, I don't think so. But I think Dead Zone is going to be more successful than the other novels, and probably they will consider it from the part of Gabriel and what's the shield, the company that is back in the
Winged Hussar.
Winged Hussar.
Yeah. Well,
that's right.
Yeah, they will find someone to make the audiobooks. I would really like to, listen to something like that while I'm driving.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of people that are kind of in the same boat, where that makes it easier to get through those books if there is an audio version. So yeah, I know that there are definitely some people that would be excited about that.
Yes.
If that comes to fruition.
And with that, I think we're just about ready to wrap up, but we did want to take a moment to say thank you to all of our wonderful patrons who help keep this show going. We really appreciate your support for hardware replacements or upgrades, software subscriptions, and other costs of running the show, like patches that we had as sponsorship for the Krug, and all that good stuff. So that's all possible because of you. So thank you very much for that. And if you're interested and willing to join that cadre of folks, you can find us on patreon.com/metachemistry. And in exchange, we have some benefits to kind of show our gratitude, like early access to episodes, final voting on polls, as well as access to private channels on our Discord. And speaking of the Discord, we'd love to have you there, patron or otherwise, where you can come chat Infinity with us. We can talk about episodes, give us suggestions, show off painted miniatures, terrain, talk about lists, anything that you want to talk about in terms of Infinity. We'd love to have that there.
Well, Carlos, thank you so very much for joining us. This has been a great chat as always, and I'm looking forward to the next time that we get a chance to sit down and talk. So thank you for attending the Krug and for coming out here and helping support everything. It's been a great time. It's been great to have you.
Glad to be here, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. It's been just awesome, and it gets better every year.
Yeah. On behalf of Metachemistry, I've been Devin.
Ian.
And I'm Carlos Bostria from Corvus Belli. And that's the meta.